So this is the Bells of Steel 2-in-1 ISO leg press slash hack squat. I'm gonna show you how it works because it does transform. This is the hack squat orientation. This is where all the weight stores. There's actually only one place on either side for the weight, but many weight horns on the bottom. You then get in, you can adjust the foot pad how you'd like, undo the safety spotters, and then squat. Build the quads. A lot of depth actually, look at that. I mean, that's pretty good. And then back up, lock it in. Now, you can also move this back pad. So you put it up, it's got these keyholes, pull it down. If you notice, there's keyholes right here. You then place it on there, lock it in. You then adjust these up. So they use these with cotter pins. I really don't like these, by the way, I'll talk more about that in the review. But you put these up, you have to adjust this to get it in. There's 3 different holes for 3 different angles. There we go. Then you got one, you have the other one. There you go. Then the other thing is there's a bar in here that you can release that basically makes them isolated. So this bar stores in the back very nicely. Okay, then you can use it as an ISO leg press, which means one leg at a time, or you can do double legs. But if you want to do double legs, that's just using the bar. But then you can do this. Okay, let's get into the review. Hey guys, it's Coop from Garage Gym Reviews, and this is the Bells of Steel 2-in-1 ISO leg press and hack squat. This is a combo machine. You guys have been asking for more and more machine reviews, and this is a recent one that came out. Honestly, I would say if you're gonna add a machine to your garage gym, you're gonna wanna put a combo unit in there. They make the most sense. They don't take up any more space, but they do double the functionality. One I'm looking for right now is a leg extension leg curl. I really want one, but they're very expensive, and also there's not really a lot of options out there outside of commercial units, and they're very hard to find used. But there are more companies that have been coming out with hack squats and leg presses. We've reviewed a few of them. There are more forthcoming. If you'd like to see any of those, make sure you subscribe and let me know in the comments. Also, Bells of Steel did send this, so we could do a review. If you'd like to purchase it, check out the link below the like button. They will pay us a small commission, but won't increase the cost that you pay. Now, this is unique in that it combines 2 functionalities, a leg press and a hack squat. If you go to a commercial facility, most of the time they don't have combo units. The reason is they have more space and they don't want people waiting on one machine. They'd rather just have separate machines. Whereas in the home gym, you want them combined. Well, this one combines both of those, but it does it in a unique way that it also allows for ISO leg press, which means you can pull out a bar, which basically fixes them together, and then you have separated leg press. I'll talk about whether that's a gimmick or whether I actually think it's something that's useful in a little bit, but first I want to go through how does it feel as a hack squat, how does it feel as a leg press, talk about the build quality, and then kind of the value proposition and how it compares to all the other machines that are on the market. So for the hack squat, this is honestly a hack squat. I love a hack squat. Hack squats are great for building the quads. If I was gonna have a machine like this in my garage gym that's gonna take up this much space, I would definitely prefer a hack squat over a leg press personally. I think they're great for quad building. So it would either be like an Atlantis Hack Squat Pro, or another one I've been looking at is the Atlantis Pendulum Squat. Both of those are just amazing quad builders. But this one is able to do some of that stuff while also offering the functionality of the leg press. Now the hack squat, the way it works is you have a removable pad. I kind of showed it when I demoed it, but basically it's a removable pad that inserts into keyholes. Those keyholes are found at the top of the actual sled, also at the base plate where you put your feet, so you can put it in there when you're doing leg presses too. One thing I'll say on that just quickly is the way the keyholes are situated, when you put the pad into the hack squat orientation, they slide into the locker position, so it's basically a keyhole. So there's like a round hole at the top and then a slit at the bottom they slide into. The problem is you use this way, like you're pushing against it. So one thing I found is sometimes during use, if you slide it in there, lock it in, and then when you're actually using it, the pad actually slides up because that's where the resistance is going, which can potentially cause it to then like come out. Like somewhat minor, but if you're gonna put the keyhole in, put it the opposite way. I don't know, it just felt kind of weird. I like how it inserted, but it just kind of shifts a little bit during movement. Now, while you're using the hack squat, it has padding on your shoulders, the yoke padding, also padding on your back. Then you have the adjustable angle base plate on the bottom. So It's a big, thick diamond plate piece. This is a big piece. Like dimensions wise, 108 inches long, 65 inches tall, 45.5 inches wide. So basically it takes up the space of a big power rack without like the overhead space. But because you're using it, you can't really put anything overhead either. So this thing's just big. In fact, like if you're a taller person and you're looking for something that would work for you, this is something that will work. Actually, the guy they had demo on their photos on Bells of Steel site is 6'5", and it looks just fine. Just about any body type is gonna work on this, and actually can get really good depth on the hack squat. But the adjustable foot pad is nice because it can be adjusted for the angle of your feet, but can also be used to adjust for your back pad during leg press. Now, the weight for this, for both the leg press and the hack squat, is all on 2 separate rods, one on each side. Some leg presses, because you want to load them up really heavy, will have multiple places to load them up. This just has 1 pair of horns, and you can load it up to 1,500 pounds is the sled rating, and it should. I mean, it weighs over 600 pounds, so it should be able to hold a lot of weight. But you load it up, and then you're able to do hack squat at whatever weight you really want to. One thing I will say, the start weight for the hack squat may be heavy for some people. The start weight is about 100 pounds. That's about how much the sled is. So if you're not very strong, this may not be the best unit for you, because 100-pound start weight may be too heavy for some people. You can offset that a little bit with, say, using reverse bands, because this has band pegs all over, and that's one of the cool things about it, is you can use bands for the hack squat, the leg press, but also future method, so you can make it so it's lighter at the bottom of the rep rather than heavier. But something to be aware of, as I know there's a lot of people that are using this with multiple people with kids and things like that, and this just may not work for that. Now, there are 4 different heights for safety stops. The top one I feel like feels great for me to use. It may be a little short for some taller people, but when you go to the leg press option, the top one is too tall for me. So I have to start it, actually, I have to remember if I'm gonna go into leg press, I have to lower it down another notch so then I can start where it actually works. But to use it for the leg press, pretty simple. You take the pad off, you put the pad on the base plate where you normally have your foot during the hack squats, the diamond plate tread. Then you raise up the platform on each one because they're independent and insert a pin. Here's the problem. There are 3 different angles for this, 3 different holes on an arcing angle. So you pull it out, pop it in, pull it up, pop it in, where you want to go. The problem is there is a welded band peg on the other side that prevents you, when this thing is fully tightened, to actually put it in. So you can only use the first angle. So, and this is one thing I saw commented online a lot, and this is actually in use, this is how it feels. There's just some components on this that I don't feel like were fully well thought out, and that's one in particular where you have to keep the bolt fully loosened, almost all the way loosened, so you can actually use it. But when it's loosened, it's not as safe because you're pushing a lot of load up again. It's just annoying. Like, it's something that I feel like they should have caught and they didn't catch. I think part of it is because they probably didn't test it a ton in all the different orientations. It's just really annoying. It's something that should not be there, especially because that first angle, you can see it right now, it's angled in such a way that unless you have crazy dorsiflexion, your heels are gonna come off when you actually do a full leg press. So, something to be aware of. Now, in use, the isolateral movements on the leg press may be something you like. I personally like doing a lot of single leg work, but my thing with this is you're paying extra because there's just more complications, there's more things to go wrong, but there's also more guide rods and material and everything like that, because this is using guide rods with really big bearings. Like, it's actually a really smooth machine. But you have to decide, do I want to pay extra for the ISO movement? Now, most gyms that you find are just going to have a regular leg press. It's just going to be a single sled. Having the alternating legs is not something personally I would use a lot, and I don't foresee a ton of people using it. But if it is something that you would use, this is really one of the only options for a combo unit that's on the market. And I will say, once you undo the full thing and have it ready to go for a single leg, it feels kind of good. And sometimes it feels nice just to do like alternating, kind of like you would do with curls, alternating leg press, something that you could find yourself doing. But generally, if I'm gonna use it, I'm just gonna put the rod in and keep it together all the way. So something you just have to decide if it matters to you or not. Now to the build quality, it's using typically 11 gauge steel, black powder coat. It's using 4 guide rods, 2 for each side. They're using 35mm ball bearings in there, so it's like really smooth, feels really nice. You just gotta make sure you lube it up and lube it up often to make sure it's gonna maintain that smoothness. When you compare it to other options that are on the market, say from Titan, they're using big wheels, and wheels like will probably last longer and are fine for a home gym setting, but it's just not gonna be quite as smooth as this. This is gonna feel somewhat similar to some of the nicer units that you find in use that you find in a commercial market. It does allow for full depth, both on hack squat and leg press. It was never something I was worried about when using it, which is something that a lot of companies will overlook, because you want, especially on hack squats, to be able to get deep into that position. And at least for me, it allows me to do that. Now, the diamond tread on the platform is nice and beefy. It doesn't warp or flex at all while I'm using it. It just allows me to just do it and not have to worry about it. I feel like I have something solid to push up against. And due to the textured powder coat, like it just grips well. One thing though, is they powder coated the whole thing, including the weight horns, which means anytime you put plates on there, it starts just looking crappy. It's already, like you can see it, it's just already kind of like rubbed out from putting plates on there. It's really annoying. Over time, that's gonna end up falling completely off, flaking and rusting, which is just annoying. I would much prefer like chrome horns or stainless steel or something like that. Again, they're trying to meet a price point, but still, this thing is not cheap. It's still, I would say, above a budget option. And so I would have loved to see like chrome weight horns or something, just so that wouldn't happen. The padding on there is just, it's okay. It's not very soft. It's not very dense either, and the vinyl will rip over time. It's just kind of a cheaper, thinner vinyl. So something I feel like, you know, it's minor, but something I wish they would have added is a nicer vinyl. And then lastly is the assembly. The assembly on this is a lot. It's a lot. They say actually at the top it says easier assembly. And then they go in and say, assembling this machine is not for the faint of heart, but this machine has been made extra special. It ships disassembled, so unlike the other guys, capitalized, you don't need a forklift to unload it. So that is nice that it doesn't come in a huge pallet that you've got to figure out how to get off a truck with a lift gate and everything like that. But you also have to understand it's fully disassembled. So you got to assemble this entire thing. So it's going to take a lot of time and energy, and you probably want to have somebody else there with you. So all this said, what's the value like? This thing is $2,700. That's the pre-sale price, and that includes shipping. When I compare that to the competitors, we have the Titan Fitness hack squat leg press that's $2,000. Bells of Steel actually has a hack squat leg press that's around $1,800. It's not quite as big as this. It also doesn't have the ISO movements on there, but they do have an option that's more of a budget-friendly option. Force USA has one that's $1,900, which I actually really like that unit. I've used it. It's big too, but it actually feels really solid and has a calf block that's removable, so you can do calf raises, which this one doesn't, which is kind of surprising because they have the keyholes there already. Might as well just make a calf block that insert in there. That'd be kind of cool. So within this like price point and like for the home gym, those are your basic options. Would I recommend this one over those? Definitely not. I just wouldn't. I think this thing, it's kind of gimmicky with the ISO lateral thing. Like, I don't foresee a lot of people using that. If you're somebody you know who would use that, you may like this, but at the same time, like I can just put one leg up on a normal leg press and use it just fine. The real benefit is that it would be 50-pound sled with just half of it going than the full sled. But there's a lot of leg presses out there that are around 50 pounds or so anyways from their start weight. So not a huge deal. And the other thing is the price, $2,700 for the fit and finish, and just some of the things with like the machining on the holes, some of the welds, also the pins that go in, they have to be secured with cotter pins. It's just not very quick or easy to use. Also, like the fact that I can't adjust the peg for the leg press to adjust it because there's a welded rod there unless I loosen the bolt all the way. It's just like minor stuff like that that add up to like problems. If they fix all of those things, then maybe it's something to be worth looking at. But for most of you, just buy one with a standard sled that's gonna work. And there's many options that we've reviewed that are out there. Honestly, Bells of Steel, cheaper option, I would definitely recommend over this one for the price. Okay, what do you think of it? Do you think you'd use the ISO option, or would you like one that's just fully fixed? Is there other options out there that are leg press, hack squat combos that you'd like me to review? Let me know in the comments. This has been Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. I'll see you next time. Peace.